Good evening, I'm Anna Jabłońska and welcome to Poland Daily. Polish military will be present at Westerplatte during the commemorations of the 79th anniversary of the World War II outbreak, as declared by the Minister of National Defense, Mariusz Błaszczak. Mayor of Gdańsk, Paweł Adamowicz, agreed to the idea of military presence, despite his previous objection. Many viewed his objection to be a political ploy prior to the upcoming municipal elections.
Even before the planned meeting with Mayor Adamowicz, Minister of National Defense Mariusz Błaszczak ensured that the Polish military will be present during the commemorations of September 1st at Westerplatte. We will make sure that the September 1st commemoration will be conducted with the full military ceremonial. That includes the officer of Polish Army reading the remembrance appeal. I obviously recognize and appreciate Polish scouts, but it was the soldiers of the Polish Army that fought at Westerplatte. After the meeting with the representatives of the armed forces, the mayor of Gdańsk said that both sides came to an agreement in terms of the commemorations. I hope that this agreement will be confirmed by the Ministry of National Defense. The talks lasted for an hour, they were held in good spirits, and I am personally pleased with their outcome. Adamowicz was also happy that the commemorations of September 1st will not include a special assembly dedicated to the victims of the Smolensk plane crash disaster. This is good news. There will be no Smolensk assembly. Personally, I am happy that this event is becoming a thing of the past. Columnist Rafał Ziemkiewicz has no doubts that the games played by Mayor Adamowicz are indicative of a political fight for retaining his position and gaining the support of left-wing voters. Adamowicz appeals to the left-wing and anti-law and justice crowd. These voters hate everything that is connected with the ruling party, whether it be Poland itself or the Polish army. Right now, keeping his seat is a matter of life or death to him.
Today, the Polish Parliamentary Commission of Public Finance discussed what has been deemed the Swiss franc problem. A large group of new home buyers in Poland began taking mortgages in Swiss francs in 2004. They did this as loans had an annual percentage rate of less than 1% and the Swiss currency had a track record of being very stable. Over the years, the Swiss franc weakened, home loan rates quadrupled, and the creditors now owe the banks more than they took in loans. Today, the Polish Parliament is discussing possible moves to ease the situation.
The situation is very serious and the Polish government's Financial Supervision Authority is looking into the matter. The Financial Stability Committee recommended changes to the Borrowers' Support Fund, which on the one hand would increase the effectiveness of additional support mechanisms for borrowers in a difficult situation, and on the other create the possibility of opting funds from the Borrowers' Support Fund to support the voluntary restructuring of the foreign currency housing portfolio. According to the Frankowicze, the Polish name given to people who took out mortgages in Swiss francs, the state hasn't done enough to solve their problem, which they see as bank fraud. In turn, yesterday, the Polish Supreme Audit Office published a report in which the actions of the Competition and Consumer Protection Office taken in the case are described as not fully reliable, and the Financial Supervision Authority as inadequate. We have two such accusations. Firstly, valorization. After 10 years, someone taking a loan of 300,000 and paying off 150,000 has to pay 450,000 zlotys. Secondly, the government is not taking decisive action. The Polish Supreme Audit Office also assesses that the state still doesn't support borrowers sufficiently to assert their rights and proposes penalties for managers of financial institutions. These charges are rejected by Przemysław Barbrych from the Union of Polish Banks. The banks did nothing wrong. These loans were legal. First, the banks always offered a loan in Polish zlotys, and only when the creditworthiness was low, they offered a loan in francs. Most Frankowicze are currently waiting for binding decisions from the government. At the beginning of September, another meeting of the Public Finance Commission devoted to the report of the Polish Supreme Audit Office on Frankowicze will be held. So far, none of the interested parties are taking responsibility, leaving the Frankowicze crying and paying.
The municipal elections in Poland are scheduled for October 21st, and the candidates for the post of Warsaw mayor are not wasting their time. In a radio interview, Patryk Jaki stated that it's high time Warsaw had ambitions. According to him, the Polish capital is a city with unrealized potential which needs to be utilized. He specifically focused on the need to speed up the construction of ring roads and subway lines.
Policzyłem koszty budowy tego.
I calculated the costs of building the third and fourth subway lines, and it occurred to me that we can build them spending almost as much as Warsaw already spends on investments each year. The current governors of Warsaw, coming from the Civic Platform Party, have failed to spend the billion zlotys on investments year after year. All it would take is to manage the sum intelligently and use it, for instance, to build the subway, and it would be built twice or three times faster than it currently is. That's why I do not approve of Warsaw being constantly beaten by the capitals of Romania and Bulgaria in crucial fields. It's high time for Warsaw to be ambitious. I'm not just speaking about the subway. Warsaw doesn't have a bypass. Minsk has 2 bypasses, so we can't even compare ourselves to Belarus. The newest rankings show that in terms of new technologies, we're behind the capitals of the Czech Republic and Hungary. It cannot be that way anymore.
Stolica Czech, stolica Węgier, Budapeszt. No po prostu nie może tak być.
2.5 months after the parliamentary election in Slovenia, it looks as if a coalition government is finally about to form. The Slovenian establishment has been working hard to sideline the conservative party SDS, which won twice as many votes as the second largest party, the list of Marian Sarec. After difficult negotiations, LMS has managed to form a 5-party coalition with 4 other center-left parties. The 5 parties still won't have enough MPs to form a majority government and will be dependent on the active support of the far-left party Lewica.
Today, Marian Sarec, a former comedian turned politician, received the support of 55 out of the 90 MPs in the Slovenian parliament, making him the prime minister designate. The coalition government is expected to be weak and fragile, as many of the 5 parties were elected on conflicting party platforms. The prime minister designate now has 15 days to pick his cabinet. We have taken the first step towards forming the 13th Slovenian government. This is the beginning. I was appointed today as Prime Minister designate, and now I can continue what I have started. My goal now is to put together the new cabinet and get the parliament's approval and make sure Slovenia has a fully operational government. Janez Janša, his party SDS, was supported by 25% of the voters in the election and will be waiting for the government to collapse and snap elections to follow. The main issues needing to be dealt with by the new government include the inefficient national health system and to reform the pension system so as to reduce the burden of the rapidly aging population on the budget. The issue of immigration also remains pressing, as the Western Balkans migration route is far from closed. Thousands of migrants have been trying to pass through Bosnia, Croatia and Romania in recent months. The new government will have plenty of difficult tasks ahead of it. The lack of political stability will make its work even harder.
Thank you for watching Poland Daily. Coming up next, Poland Daily weather. Good night.